of that, and today is not making money anymore.
Right.
The same app, they upgraded it and everything, and the reason why is because 10 of competitors have come with free apps, doing the same thing. So the problem is not just a problem of proliferation of apps. Now, very soon it will be 300,000, maybe 400, 500,000 apps. It's a problem that many apps are becoming commodities and are becoming free. So in order to really get noticed, you need to consider your app as a business, and many developers just throw an app in the App Store and it's just not enough. So in order to really get noticed, you really need to think your app, of course, as a product, but also as a business. I mean, you have to drive marketing outside the App Store. You cannot in the App Store, but also during the usage of your app and after that. So I think it's until a developer gets that in his mind, it's very, very hard to get noticed, unless you are really, really lucky. But if you look at the very successful apps today in the App Store, they are really very business-driven. There are very smart guys behind them, and they really market it very strongly, very smartly.
When you look at an app, what is an app? When you look at the analogy to the stationary internet, yeah, an app is nothing different than a website. It's like a website which is tailored to a certain device. And when you so I don't think that anyone can make money with selling apps, yeah, because it's only a one-off transaction. So I think nobody really makes like a lot of sustainable money with it. There will be maybe a few exceptions, but maybe like 2 or 3 worldwide or something like that. So very little.
But isn't it really how you look at it though? Because if you look at it sort of as e-commerce, right? There's a constant transaction you can do there. You can go to eBay, you can go to Amazon, and I mean I guess another question I have there too is, you know, on some of those traditional ones, are we just moving revenue from the internet or offline or whatever to the mobile? Or, you know, what's happening there?
Yeah, of course we're moving revenue, but we're also increasing it. The pie will get larger along the way. But when you think about eBay, for example, yeah, when you go on the web, you access the eBay website and you can use it. The analogy here would be that you need to pay like one-time additional 2 or 3 euros to be able to use the website in the future. But the revenue, of course, can come only through the transactions or the subscription fees or whatever that you generate on that site. So this is what you obviously need to do. And like to these companies here, when you again like the analogy of the web, I don't think that the problem is recommendation. Yeah, when there are like 500,000 websites or 500,000 apps, I don't browse through them like via recommendations. Yeah, I will have the same analogy as in the web. So like most of you probably use like, I don't know how many, like 10 websites on a regular basis or something like that, or 5. The same will be true for apps. You will use 5 or 10 apps on a regular basis. And then when you have a special need, I don't know, you need a cab somewhere in a city or whatever, then you will search for it. So not the recommendation will be the thing how people find apps and how you distribute apps. It will be search. So this is the more relevant problem.
And I think that, me personally, I got here, wanted to use a Metro, so the first thing I did was download the iPhone Metro app, for 59 pence or whatever it was, and I think that is a significant way that revenue is being driven, based on need, not necessarily on recommendation.
You should have asked me, there's a free app.
Too late.
I want to comment on what you said about money moving from the internet to the mobile world. That's, I mean, from the PC-centric internet to the mobile internet. That's not totally true, I think. There are new opportunities being created, because what we forgot to say is that being mobile, it's more than just having a shrunk version of the internet. That's a totally different behavior. Sometimes you go read the same weather information and the same result of your soccer game or football game, but there is more. There is geolocalization. There is voice. There is the photos that you can take. There is the fact that you are perhaps in emergency or urgency. There is an opportunity also to talk more intimately to the user, and that cannot be done on the internet. So there is a new way to behave, to interact between the content, whether it's a content from an internet player or a brand which wants to exploit the mobile community, and the user. And that will create new opportunity for generation of revenue. And what we have discussed so far is how to reach the audience, not how to monetize the audience.
Do you think, as developers of iPhone, specifically iPhone apps, but because this relates to that, but the fact that Apple's T's and C's for developing apps is very strict, iPhone store, you need to jump through some significant hurdles and follow some very strict guidelines is going to inhibit some of the entrepreneurial spirit of developing apps.
Certainly. I mean, they are doing a fantastic job. They created that market, so we cannot be too tough on Apple, but certainly there are hurdles, and we don't know how they will eventually control that market. And they have a means to control and to decide what goes in and not, and that is a risk for the market to be then constrained by whatever they decided is good. But so far, they have been more an enabler than a hurdle to consider.
I'm not so much concerned by the Apple approval process. I mean, it's painful, of course, but I think someone that is really motivated to make an app will get there. So I don't think this is the real barrier. The real barrier is to really get attention, to get interest, to generate, as Lucas said, recurrent usage. So if you don't do that, no matter if you are or you're not in the App Store, so the rate of growth of apps in the App Store is very fast. It's probably going to go faster on Android because there will not be this certification process. But the pain is not so much the approval, it's the usage itself.
Gosh, we haven't spoken about advertising at all. And I was just wondering, as you mentioned, you guys have invested in advertising, and I think today it's still small, that market, but it's obviously growing. And so, what are your views on that? I don't know. What are we seeing in, let's say, 2010? Are we going to see any bigger uptake? Anything interesting?
So mobile advertising is super important, okay, and it's a super great business model. So one thing, for example, AdMob, like the $750 million acquisition, AdMob was already a bit larger than 100 million. So 100 million was, I think, the yearly revenue, but the run rate was higher, because when you take the current month times 12. So
but I think it was a gross revenue as well, rather than right.
Okay. Then I mean, mobile advertising is super important. It's also important, like, to push your apps, because of like the ranking of your app depends on how often it was downloaded, and obviously it's more often downloaded when you advertise for it. So kind of like think of mobile advertising as like seeding your app, and then it comes out high on the ranks. So everybody will need mobile advertising to push their apps. Everybody, but maybe a few viral apps. And then the medium, when you think about the sheer growth of the medium itself, like where we will be in like 2, 3, 4, 5 years, when a few of the app stores will maybe fail, but those who will fail, those telcos who will fail to come up with a good app store, I think they will disappear because of like the device with all this functionality is so superior to a device without it. So I guess in like 5, 6 years it will be like with the internet today. Most of us, it will be hard for us to imagine like how we ever could have lived without it. I think we will get so used to this medium. This will take like 5, 6 years time, but eventually we'll get there. And then what will happen then at some point is like, of course, like the local component in mobile advertising. And right now it's only fantasy, it's only future, because of like the local advertisers. You need to teach them, they need to learn, the medium needs to get larger and stuff like that. But this will be the really, really big thing then. And I think this is probably like 10 years away. But in 5 years we will see like the first steps.
May I add something on the marketing, M-marketing or E-marketing? When you introduce M-marketing as one of the 3 ways to generate revenue, you say that's like putting banners on the application. I want to say it's more than that.
Yeah.
And that's what we discovered. We're talking to a lot of brands, and pretty much all of them at some point in time are thinking or are contemplating or even executing some plan to reach the mobile audience, precisely because it's a different interaction than the one you have on a PC. Our application is a free application. We decided we are a media. We don't want someone to pay, say, €2 or $2 for the apps, and how do we exploit and generate revenue on the longer term. So we want our media to be nice, to be